Hello and welcome to Ignite with Mwangala, with me, Mwangala Chakalashi Santos. Now today we bring yet another exciting episode, and I am joined by Father Lastone Lupupa, who's coming on the set for the second time. And we continue talking about spirituality and religion. What is the difference? Father Lupupa, welcome.
Thank you.
Shall I say Father Lastone Lupupa, SJ?
Thank you, Mwangala Chakalashi. And I'm glad to be here. It was very nice to be here last time that we met, talking about spirituality.
And religion.
And religion.
Yes. So we continue from that, but for the benefit of the people that are joining us, for the first time today, just quickly take us through what the difference is between spirituality and religion.
When we're talking about spirituality, we're talking about the meaning of life, the meaning that we give to life. Religion is the celebration of life itself. And in a religion, that's where you find the rubrics, the rules, the laws, and it is a celebration of life. It's like, when you go to watch soccer, religion is the referee, the linesman, it's offside, it's penalty. That is religion. Yeah. Spirituality is the enjoyment, where you just sit there and enjoy the score, and then you hug afterwards. Yeah. It doesn't matter who has won, who has lost. In spirituality, we are concerned about what is the outcome, what benefit am I getting from my faith. Yeah. Okay. In religion, sometimes we may lose that and go even to the contrary, where people have killed in the name of Allah, in the name of God, in the name of Krishna, in the name of what? And then religion sometimes has made us divided. It has, excluded me from my brother, my sister, whereby I begin to think that those are favorites. We are not favorites. We are second-hand human beings. Those are the supreme. It's a religion that has made us actually fight a lot. When people become spiritual, they move from the physical level and begin to see that which is common between us, and that is the spirit, the non-physical aspect of us. In the technological world, spirituality is the software, religion is the hardware. Yeah,
I like that. So would I be right to say that religion is man-made?
Religion is man-made, surely, because God created us in such a way that we have this affinity to know Him, to love Him, to express, the ultimate reality. Who is? Talk about the African religion, so-called. When they came across a very huge tree, they said, "Wow, this could have been the one who created us," and they would render worship. They would worship a tree, the sun. So we have the sun god, and etc., etc. So religion was created because of our wanting to pay, dues to the one who created us. And often people have asked themselves this question: who am I? Where do we come from? Yeah. Where does this whole thing, how does it work? Yeah. So those are religious questions. And in spirituality, we go deeper, only to discover that actually it's not out there, it's inside of me, and that is spirituality. And I like to compare spirituality with science. Science was so much concerned about the manifestation of things, what is matter. And until they entered into matter, when they started using the microscopes, then they discovered there was a world inside of what we are seeing, much more than the naked eye. And that is what has brought all this technology. It's because of the question of what are things made up of. Yeah. And so spirituality is asking us much more than religion about God, but beginning to draw energy into the inside of ourselves. What is it to be a human person? And then we go into religion, religious texts, the Bible, the Quran, and all these other books that have been written by holy men and women. And then we begin to relate to that. And that is how we discover something big about ourselves.
Now, you've asked very important questions here, and these are questions that many of us ask. Questions like, what is life? Who am I? Can you try and help us define who we are? And probably maybe we start with life. Oh, what is life?
Life can be talked about, but also it's all that we are experiencing.
Yeah.
There is when you ask that question, you are appealing to an explanation, and an explanation which comes as a result of some point of reference, meaning an encyclopedia, a dictionary, definition. Life is bigger than how we can define it. Life is so huge.
Yeah.
It is like a little fish in the ocean, in the river, was asking the mother, Mommy, I hear people talk about water.
Yeah.
They're going to swim. Mommy, take us to the river. We want to experience water.
Yet it was in water.
And then the mother says, it's all water.
Yeah.
We sleep in water. We drink water. We eat in water. We look through water. Says, Mommy, no, you can't say that. I want to experience water. Says, you can't experience water because it's just part of that experience. So the definition of life is very interesting, because as we continue to unpack what life is, actually we can replace life with God. God is life, and life is God. So you cannot be outside of life, meaning you cannot even be outside of God. God is the giver of life. He gives himself. He extended himself. We are God's extension. And we can talk about life biologically, but even biologically it becomes very interesting, because people are categorizing the species, and they are seeing even more and more about what biological life is in the cell. Talk about the coronavirus, its behavior. Where was it? It has jumped from these animals, now it has come into animals. So the scientific world is explaining life, but talk about psychology. Psychology is talking about the soul, our emotions, our desires, how we come to make decisions. Psychology will talk about the mind. It's much more than the brain. We are much more than matter. So when we're talking about life, ultimately we're talking about God. God is life, and life is God. And we are experiencing God all the time, and we can never be outside God.
Powerful. How I wish these things were taught in school.
Well, we know them,
Yeah.
except that we have not articulated them. Now, when you get connected to life, you get
Which is
connected
God
to
in this
God.
case, yeah.
Yes. Then you begin to experience it to the full. It's Jesus who said, I have come so that they may have life in abundance. Okay. What is abundance what is abundance? What is it to experience this ocean, like the chaplet of the divine mercy, the ocean of mercy? The mercy of God is like an ocean. You cannot deplete it. You cannot make God say, I can't forgive you. It is Jesus who answered, was it St. Peter, how many times should I forgive my brother? Is it 7 times? And Jesus says 7 times, 77 times, meaning don't count. So when we experience life, we experience it in abundance. And it is not in what you are seeing, it's not what you are hearing, it's not what you are eating, it's not what you are tasting, it's not what you are thinking, it's not what you are feeling. It's just everything all together. That is what makes life life.
I love that. So now we've answered what life is. Who are we?
So who are we? We are, again, life. We are God's extension. The Bible talks about God having created us in his own image, in his own likeness. Okay? Now, the way you can understand who we are is to look at the product of ourselves as human beings. We are God's product. So to understand who we are, we have to look to God, and God is the only one who can explain who we are. Just like human beings have produced also computers. A computer is a map, is an extension of us human beings. Now they're talking about artificial intelligence, meaning that from what we know, what we have, we put it into a machine and it begins to do as though it were you. Artificial intelligence is very simple. It's like a calculator. 5 times 6 is equal to 30 or whatever number it is. Okay, that is artificial intelligence, meaning that everything has been put there and then it begins to talk to you. When you look at the children playing computer games, it's very wonderful. The joystick and all the movements have been mastered by the programmer. So now, who are we? We are God's extension. And we are reflecting who God is. So when you look at a human being and how complex we are from the material point of view, from the soul, emotional and physical point of view, then you begin to see how big and huge God is. So, meaning that even our minds cannot, understand fully who God is. But God himself has made us in such a way that we can perceive, we can appreciate, we can make some kind of language which can talk about him.
Powerful. Now we take a short break, but when we come back, I want you to talk about, you've just explained what spirituality is. So when we come back, I want you to talk about how then do we live it? How do we make it a part of us in our day-to-day lives?
Sure.
We take a short break and we'll be right back.
To advertise on this program and enjoy amazing introductory rates, please call us on +260 211 290959 or +260 211 290912 or +260 953 538 000. Or send us an email at loyolazam@gmail.com.
Welcome back. If you're joining us now, I'm talking to Father Lastone Lupupa, SJ. I have to make sure I add the SJ because I know there's something about a Jesuit priest if you say Father Lastone Lupupa without giving you the SJ. So I'll make sure the SJ is there. We're talking about spirituality and religion. But before we went on break, you gave us a beautiful definition of what spirituality is. Now, how can one make spirituality their reality? How can I make it my reality?
So you are already a spiritual being.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have been.
So what's your thought? I am actually a spirit having a human experience. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
So by asking how can you make it a reality, it's like something which is out there and then I'm bringing it forth. You are already living a spiritual life. When we read the Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh, we come to appreciate a new dimension of what we thought, like the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So the body is the encasing, we are vessels, so the inside of me.
Yeah.
But actually the opposite is true. Okay? The spirit engulfs the body. It's the one that is keeping the body. So you are surrounded.
It's more like a casing.
Exactly.
Of some sort, yeah.
And your thoughts are spiritual. Your emotions are the ones that are communicating from the spirit world into this world so that you can relate to God. Okay? In the Ignatian spirituality, we talk about discernment of the spirits. If somebody has insulted you and you begin to get angry, that anger, you discern where is this coming from. This is not from the good spirit. Meaning that there is something that you are feeling, and that anger can cause you to react negatively. But immediately you discover this will be the consequence. I'm going to react differently. Then you tap into the right energy. You tap into the correct source, which is God. God will always, always give you that peace. And that inner peace is which makes you now, like Jesus says, if someone slaps you on the right cheek, give them the left. You cannot do that in the flesh. You can only do that when you are in the spiritual realm. Meaning that human beings, believers and non-believers, we are always spiritual. And believers, non-believers, churchgoers and non-churchgoers are all children of God. Church is a place where we come to exercise, where we come to, as it were, we come to nourish ourselves, like a restaurant where we come to feed our souls. Otherwise, all of us have got stomachs, those without, and perhaps some are not feeding on the right stuff, and that is why they are reacting with consequences. You find yourself in prison. Why? Because you did not act appropriately. And yet, inside of you, there is that God aspect drawing you closer and closer to God. So, we talk about the lost souls. There's nobody who can be lost. Strictly speaking, nobody can be lost. Okay? Why? Because everything is there. The only one who is experiencing the losing is the one who cannot see it.
Yeah.
Okay? Something has been stolen from me, but it is somewhere. Someone has it. If you're missing something, it is misplaced. It is not lost. It is somewhere. You cannot just see it with your physical eyes. And if you do a thorough cleaning up, you will find that it is there. So God cannot lose us. We are always God's children. And that is why Jesus came, so that he can call us forth into the presence of God. And on our part, we begin to experience God. It is the experience which is connecting us to God. In the absence of the experience, and what is experience? Experience is something that you're hearing, something that you're seeing, something that you're touching, something that you're thinking. In the absence of that, it is still there. It's only that I didn't have an experience of it. Okay? Just like, the joy of food. The taste is in the mouth, in the taste buds. The food itself is neutral, but it's when it comes in contact with my tongue that I say, oh, this is lovely. Now, when you are sick, your taste buds, they go sour. Yeah. And there are some people who have gone, they have been operated, the tonsils were removed, and the sense of taste goes. So they have lost the taste. Does it mean the food has stopped being tasty?
Not at all.
No, it's you who has lost it. So in the absence of God, from our point of view, then God ceases to be, meaning that it is you who has ceased to have that experience. But God is always there. And you cannot be disconnected from God.
There can never be a separation.
There can never be a
God.
separation between God and his children.
Fantastic. Now, you've talked about the body.
Yes.
We've talked about the spirit. We are a spirit,
Yes.
having a human experience.
Exactly.
You've also talked about the soul. Now, what is the soul?
So now, that question is very good. From the point of view of the Bible, when God breathed into the earth, that soil, that clay that God had fabricated in his hands, then and then man, that became a living being called Adam from the earth. So that breath of God is the soul. Now, these two words are sometimes interchangeably, soul and spirit.
Yeah.
Soul is the middle part of the two extremes. There are two things. There is the matter and the spiritual. And the middle is the soul. So the soul, the soul is spirit, meaning that it is non-matter. it is not physical. Electricity is physical. It can be detected using instruments, although we cannot see it. We cannot see atoms, but using the scientific knowledge and instruments, we can see that there are 2 atoms here in hydrogen, in water, and 1 atom of oxygen, and making the combination is making water. Now that is deep in our knowledge, and the water itself is physical in its manifestation. Your being, when we have your soul and your spirit, and your manifestation is a living being, it's me, I'm here. And in this spirituality of God, we can talk about everything is a vibration.
Yeah.
And depending, by vibration we are referring to, if you see a fan, before you switch it on, you can see the propeller of a fan. But when you switch it on, it begins to run, and you can see through because it is at high speed. Now, that is how matter comes into the physical experience. At the highest vibration, we are spirit. At the lowest vibration, we become matter. So that is how we can explain the body and the spirit. Otherwise, a human being is everything. Your body, soul, and spirit.
Yeah.
In the old religion, they separated these 2. They called it the flesh, and they downplayed the role of our feelings, our emotions, our pleasure, our sense of taste. People began to flog themselves. No, that is an aspect of you, though not a complete, but like we have said, the spirit, that extension, the soul, which has come to be embodied, has come to experience life in this world.
Yeah.
God, having created the Garden of Eden, and he looked at it, he said, but who is going to look after this beautiful creation? I've made all these animals and the plants, but who is going to take care of this? God self. It's like God made himself into a human being, and that is what we saw in the fullness of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus gave us the right picture of who we are. Okay? And that is why Jesus stands for all of us.
Yeah. Regardless of
religion. Jesus is a correct picture of what it is to be a human being. And that is why he said, everything that I've done, you can do, even greater ones. Because when it comes to Jesus, I'm so fast, I'm getting excited. When it comes to Jesus...
I can see that. I can feel the energy.
When it comes to Jesus, he did not believe in God. He did not have faith in the Father. He knew the Father.
So he had this knowing.
He had pure knowing. That is why he could do anything. Now, when you know a thing, then it responds. If I give you this, Mwangala, this is a tablet. If you know how to manipulate it, you can make a call.
True.
You can read my books because you know. But if you don't know, if I give it to a child, oh my goodness, they will sit on it.
So how do we get to this knowing that Jesus Christ had? He had this knowing. That's why he was able to do greater things.
Exactly. So there are 3 things. There is consciousness, then there is awareness, and there is knowing. Consciousness is what is happening right now. My beloved viewers there, they are conscious. They are awake. Okay? You can see with your naked eyes, you're looking at the screen, and you're experiencing, you're hearing, you can touch. That is consciousness. Then an awareness is a trigger in your mind where, for instance, we would say God is present in this room.
Yeah.
Now, that is awareness. But going deeper, just to know that we are not alone, there is a third party.
Yeah.
That is deeper now. And now that knowing, that knowing that I'm not alone here makes me comfortable.
Enough,
Okay, if you see an enemy trying to attack you, then you know that I am safe. There is somebody who is protecting me. Or supposing you are wearing a bullet vest, okay, you are shielded, then you know this thing is not gonna work. Or if you have some people planted out there, like the presidential guard, he doesn't walk alone. He knows that he's protected. That knowing makes him comfortable, makes him not to panic. And that is what we as children of God ought to realize. It's that knowing of the baby that mama is there. When the baby wakes up and it begins to
because the baby knows that mama is there for sure.
And the presence of mommy is the presence of everything. Food means everything is there.
Wow. So if we have this knowing, Father Lupupa, if we have this knowing, why are we then faced with so many challenges?
So many challenges because we have been duped. We have been sent to schools which, begin to bring like downloading everything into the mind, and then the mind is tabula rasa, meaning it is blank. We don't come into this world blank. We come with heavenly settings. In the animal kingdom, we call them instinct. Okay, for human beings, it's an inner knowing. Okay. If a man meets a woman for the very first time in his lifetime, you will know that this is.
Wow! Don't say that.
So there is inbuilt, inbuilt knowing, and we call it intuition. We call it inspiration. Sometimes you are right in something and you're just wondering, but where did I get all this? Now that is an inner knowing with the heavenly settings. In the computer language, we call it ROM, meaning that from the factory, before you put any applications on your phone, those of you who have got smartphones, it has got settings. It has got a system, and that system is the one that is helping you to install programs. You can't delete the system because it's the system that is deleting on your behalf. You can flash your phone, but the flashing itself is the system that is flashing. You can't flash the flasher. So there is this. So there is this. There is this part of me that is so stable that does not change, and that is the spirit. Okay, so why do we go to school? We go to school because we have to learn how to make use of the things that are in the environment. Actually, the school is giving us a map, so that we can navigate from point A to point B.
But we already have that knowing in us.
It's already there. Look at our parents. They never went to school, but they had the insaka. They would sit and they would talk about big and huge things.
Exactly.
Science has come from a knowing inside. People in the lab, they began to ask themselves so many questions, and they did experiments. Religion has come as a result of this knowing and inner knowing. Now, as you amplify the knowing, things get better.
Beautiful. Now, I also want us to talk about, now that we have this knowing, how then can we find God in all things?
Okay, so that question is very interesting. God is not out there. Jesus says, when they say the kingdom of God is here, don't rush there because the kingdom of God is among you. Okay, so God can be discovered from the point of view of awareness. I just become aware that there is a God. And by the way, when you talk about God and who God is, there may be some kind of distance between the two types of knowing. When somebody says, I don't believe in God, they are not talking about the God, the ultimate reality. They are talking about a certain concept of God, meaning that this religion God, the one that you have called these names, I don't believe in him. For instance, somebody who hates the Jews or who hates the Muslims, and because of what they have done to his family, the Christian who, had an experience of a pastor in the church, we had, scandals, and somebody says that, I don't want to go to church, I don't believe in this God. That God is an experiential God. Nobody can distance himself from God.
Whatever happens.
Whatever happens, because you cannot exist outside of God. That's like we are saying, nobody can be outside of life, because everywhere you go is life. Even in the decay itself, there is life. In fact, that is where now you begin to understand that even death is an illusion. What is an illusion? An illusion is that thing that is not giving you the reality. When you are eating something, the mouth is an illusion, because it does not tell you what the stomach is going to look for. The stomach extracts the nutritional value of what you have eaten. It's up to proteins, it's up to the fat, which is going to keep carbohydrates for your energy, the minerals, the vitamins, it is going to extract. But the mouth doesn't know all those things. That is an illusion. And you cannot just look at life and make conclusions from appearances or experiences. You have to go deeper. And what is deeper? Deeper is the stomach. And the stomach does not make noise. The stomach works in silence.
Total silence.
It is doing all those things, and then you walk out and you're looking very energetic and very happy. The stomach has done a good job for you.
Yeah.
That is what the spirit does. The spirit is that aspect of you that is comfortable regardless of what is happening. It holds you. It takes you wherever you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't
it's
make
not
you...
shaken by anything.
No, it's not shaken
It's not
by anything.
influenced by the outer.
Yeah. It's the mind, because of those friends of reference which has taught you that you are Catholic, you are Muslim, you are Caucasian, you are Indian, you are black, you are white. Those are the things that you are fighting. Look at these children who go to demonstrate on the streets because they want something to be done. Okay? Because in the past we are made to believe that the government has to do everything for us. And so we begin to fight our leaders if they haven't provided.
Yeah.
You are born into this world and you begin to fight your daddy because he gave you this life. But if you knew that whether Mr. Lupupa or he was there or not, I was going to be.
Yeah.
Regardless of my mother, I could have been something else, of course. But it was still going to be me. Yeah. Wow. So this knowing is going to make you at home in this world.
Powerful, yeah.
It's going to make you at home in this world.
So
and
with
that's
this
what we're
knowing,
missing.
then it's possible to find God in all things, right?
Wow. Got it.
Wow.
I am a Jesuit, and the Jesuits believe that is the whole existential spirituality is just about that, knowing.
Yeah.
Finding God in all things, and all things in God. St. Ignatius came to this point where he could see God everywhere.
Please say it again.
Finding God in all things, and all things in God. There is no separation.
Wow.
There is no separation. The spirituality, the theology of separation is outdated. The separation which make us sinners and God is out there, then we have to do things on our own to get there. Jesus came and used this language. I and my Father are one.
So do you mean to tell me that in your is it, what do you call it?
Spirituality.
In your spirituality, when you're preparing to become a priest, were you taught all these things that you're sharing now?
Yes.
But how come the masses out there don't? I don't want you to answer this question because we take a short break. When we come back, we talk about how then can we ensure that most of the people, not even most of the people out there understand what we're talking about and can then be able to use it in their day-to-day lives. Don't go away. When we come back, we continue talking to Father Lastone Lupupa.
To advertise on this program and enjoy amazing introductory rates, please call us on +260 211 290959 or +260 211 290912, or +260 953 538 000, or send us an email at loyolazam@gmail.com.
Welcome back. If you're joining us now, I am talking to Father Lastone Lupupa, and we're just talking about spirituality and religion. What is the difference? And how can you make spirituality your reality? Now, before we went on break, you were talking about this knowing, that you have, that all of us have. We know that we know, but we don't know. Yeah. Now, you talked about something else that I'd like you to explain to, or rather define for our viewers, is the mind. Because we tend to confuse between the spirit, the soul, and the mind. We now know what the body is, what the spirit is. You've taught us what the soul is. What is the mind?
So the mind is a toolbox for the soul.
Okay.
It's the...
So it's not the body that is the toolbox for the soul.
The brain is the... So now, there is this thing. The brain is the seat for the mind.
Yeah.
And we know about the mind because of the memory.
Yeah.
And when people have a stroke, they can lose your mind. People who are in Chinama is a place where we have mentally, challenged people. So the thinking capacity, it can be physical, but it's at the level of mind. Now, the soul is pure. The soul is that aspect of you that God has extended himself in us. In fact, like in the case of Jesus, who is a prototype and a model par excellence for all of us, God has come to experience life in this world, in us, by acquiring a body. The flesh, Jesus took flesh, and he became 100% human without losing the 100% divinity. So the soul is that divine aspect of you, God's extension. The mind has to grow. It's in the middle of the flesh and the spirit. When you sleep, your soul, this aspect of you which is non-physical, the spirit, communes in the spirit world, and it brings experiences to the mind. That's why you can wake up and remember what you were dreaming, or not to remember. When you look at a mad person, their spirit aspect of them is still intact. It is the mind that has been disturbed. Okay. Now there is a thin layer between the brain and the mind.
Exactly.
And people think that everything is in the brain. No, the memory, every cell in your body has got memory. Okay, that's why a baby in the womb can remember what happened to it when the mother was scared of a dog, and the child is born afraid of dogs. Why? Because everything is in the blood, everything is in the flesh, everything is in the bones. So there is memory. The whole body is memory. So then now it gets very interesting when you begin to understand how your mind works. And that is what we have not been taught at school. We have been taught like the way we have been taught how to use the tablet, your phone, from the user point of view, from the screen point of view. But nobody is interested to open it for you and begin to explain how digits work. The digital, to say this is the fire going this side and so forth. If you are going to understand electronics from that perspective. I am a driver. I've been driving for more than 20 years. But ever taken an interest to know what is in the engine? Sometimes I hear the car is vibrating, not knowing the brake pads are finishing, until I take it to the people there and they fix it for me. Your mind, you are also invited to learn about the mind. There is a book by Dr. Edward De Bono, who has a PhD, in fact is a professor if I'm not mistaken, about how to think. Meaning that you are always thinking, but
Yeah.
sometimes you are thinking wrongly.
Exactly.
And illogically.
So there is a right way of thinking and a wrong way.
There are correct ways. In fact,
Now,
there are so many levels of intelligence.
Do you mean to tell me that there's a right and a wrong?
Yes, there is a wrong way of thinking and a right way of thinking. Let me give you an example.
thought Neil reminds us that there's no right or wrong in his books.
Meaning,
but in this
yes,
context,
yes.
of course.
In this context is the outcome.
Okay.
What makes a thing right or wrong is the outcome.
Okay.
If it gives you what you are looking for, then it is right. Okay, if I say, can you bring that spanner for me? Then if you bring size 13, and then they say, this is a wrong spanner. Why? Because it cannot do the work.
I like that. Now, I know we don't have a lot of time, but before we come to the end of the program, what would you like to tell our viewers there? I know you have a huge following. You have a lot of people that are following on Facebook, on all your social media platforms. What message do you have for them? What do you want them to take away from this Ignite with Mwangala, talking to Father Lastone Lupupa?
We are igniting the fire in you. You see, the fire is not out there. The fire is inside of you. You are looking for answers out there. The answers are inside of you. They are embedded in you. If you collect, you picked, or perhaps the better way, if you gathered or you brought together these so-called street kids and you begin to tap into their energies, you connect their brains like batteries with polarity in series, you're going to come up with beautiful big ideas. Those children are intelligent. Those children have got a great potential, but they are wasting like batteries that are not connected. The solar energy is the latest invention where we used to look at the sun. We don't look at the sun like that, but we used to experience the sun, not knowing that it is electricity coming. And now with the solar panels, and in future, all the houses, they will not have roofing sheets, but solar panels.
Solar panels, yeah.
And converting everything into the batteries.
Yeah.
And then when the sun has gone, we are going to use that. That is how powerful our minds are. Idealization of your thoughts. You cannot just be thinking. Every thought should mature into an idea. And an idea should come into a body of knowledge. And knowledge is what becomes powerful. So read books. You spend time chatting and recycling what others have said and you're posting. Why can't you be an originator of your own ideas and your own thoughts? And that is the challenge that I put especially to the youth. Join Father Lupupa Telegram. Telegram is an app on Play Store or iStore. You just search for Telegram, install that, and then once you have installed, go to Father Lupupa library. I've got beautiful, nice books where I get a lot of this stuff.
Oh, wow. Now, I know this is not the last time you're coming on this show.
I am ignited.
There's a lot that we need to talk about. And our viewers out there still want you to come and ignite them. I know you have ignited them the second time that you've been around. So I don't want to say thank you for coming, but I'll just say see you soon. How is that?
Soon and very soon.
I like that. So there you have it. All the answers that we go about looking for out there are inside of us. This has been Mwangala Chakalashi Santos. Join me for another exciting episode of Ignite with Mwangala.